Morning, my dear legendary students. Welcome back to online webinar classes, Srivasavadi College. So, a pleasant morning, a warm welcome. This is Krishna, Untitled Chapter, Srivasavadi College. Today, we are going to discussing about. We already yesterday we discussed a continued topic. You know very well. I think mechanism of hormone action. Mechanism of hormone action. Mechanism of hormone action. So, how many types of mechanism of hormone action are there? Want to tell me anybody?
Two types of mechanism hormone action are present.
Okay.
Steroid action mechanism, non-steroid hormone action mechanism. And the steroid hormone action is the steroid hormones is directly diffused into the cytoplasm. In the cytoplasm, intracellular receptor is present. The steroid hormone enters into the cytoplasm and bind with the intracellular receptor, and there the steroid hormone and intracellular receptor bind with each other and form the hormone receptor complex. Then the hormone receptor complex enters into the nucleus, and there it is bind with the DNA gene, and the DNA gene will be activated and it is form the mRNA. The formation of mRNA from the DNA gene is called transcription. The form and the mRNA diffuse into the cytoplasm by using the ribosomes, and it is from the many polypeptide chains. By binding the so many polypeptide chains, proteins will be formed. The formation of protein from the mRNA by using ribosome is called translation. The formed proteins is directly diffused into the blood, and it will be functioning on various tissues of the body.
Wow, fantastic, fantastic answer. You have done a fantastic job. Mr. Thank you very much. So, this is the mechanism of hormone action. So already discussed so many new persons will be there. I will explain one just short what is actually okay. Mechanism of hormone action. What ma? You know very well. Mechanism of mechanism of hormone action. Hormone action. Okay, so that is mainly two types of. Okay, one is steroid hormone action. Steroid hormone action. Okay, steroid hormone action. So, may I visible, audible? Steroid hormone action. Next one, non-steroid, non-steroid, non-steroid hormone action. Non-steroid hormone action mechanism, steroid hormone mechanism, right? So, what happened here, right? So here, very important thing. These steroid hormones are which are bind with the these steroid hormones directly diffused into cytoplasm through the plasma membrane directly. Okay, and then after these steroid hormones are directly bind with the intracellular receptor, the receptors which are present in the cell. Okay, whereas in non-steroid hormone action, so what happened? The hormones should not diffuse directly through the plasma membrane into cytoplasm. Okay, so they require some mechanism, right? So that non-steroidal hormones which are bind with first of all bind with receptors on cell membrane. That is called membrane bond receptors are there. The membrane bond receptors which are present in the surface of the membrane. That hormone, non-steroidal hormone, bind with the surface of the receptor, membrane bond receptor, to be formed hormone receptor complex. So, and then should be activated and enters into cytoplasm, right? That is a difference between. Yesterday we discussed so steroid hormone action. Once and I would like to repeat speedily. Okay. For example, so this is a what I mean cell, and this one is a what I mean this is a cell membrane. This is a cell membrane. This is called what? Cell membrane, right? And this one is cytoplasm. 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 Okay, clear? Now, what happened in this cytoplasm? Receptors are there. That is intracellular receptors. That means IR. Intracellular receptors are the ICR. And nucleus also there. Nucleus also there. Right? This is called the nucleus. This is called nucleus also there. Right. So receptors, you know very well what the receptors are there. For example, so that means steroid hormone receptor. That means steroid hormone. This is called steroid hormone. This is called So this is called steroid hormone. This steroid hormone directly diffused into cytoplasm through the cell membrane, through the plasma directly. And these steroid hormone, steroid hormone directly diffuse into the cytoplasm and bind with the receptor to be formed, hormone receptor complex. Hormone receptor complex. Whether hormone receptor complex should be formed, so easily diffused into nucleus. Easily diffused into the nucleus. So what happens? Easily diffused into nucleus. So these then HRC should be bind with the gene. And these when the HRC bind with the gene, the gene should be activated. Gene nothing but DNA. In that condition, the DNA should form. The DNA should convert it into mRNA. The DNA should convert it into mRNA. That is a process is called transcription. Yesterday I already told you. That is a process is called transcription. Okay. So formation of mRNA. So by the messenger RNA, by the message sending by the DNA. That means the mRNA should be formed from the DNA. That is called transcription, right? Where the mRNA should be formed, this mRNA which is diffused out, diffused into cytoplasm, diffused out from nucleus and diffused into cytoplasm. This is called what? This is called cytoplasm. Already told you. And these mRNA, what happened? Diffused into cytoplasm. And these mRNA, what happened? By using of ribosomes. By using of ribosomes, this mRNA, the mRNA which is bind with the small ribosomes, tRNA which is bind with already told you previous semester, bind with the big ribosomes, which supplement, right? And by using of this mRNA, by coding by mRNA, decoding by tRNA, by the influence of this process, so what happened? This mRNA to be coding and to be formation of peptide chains. What happened? So many peptide chains are there. The group of so many peptide chains to be form of protein. Right? These protein which is a very very important. These directly diffused into blood. Okay, these proteins are reached to target tissue or target organ. Target tissue. The steroid hormones especially functioning on reproductive system, right? So the reproductive system just should be developed. Okay, for example, where vasa differentia, epididymis, okay, and secondary sexual characters are well developed. Body building, that means body should be well developed. And what happens in female menstrual cycle, that means female reproductive system. Uterus development, okay, ovaries development also there. Breast glands are developed by. So many these steroid hormones. So these proteins are formed and to reach to reproductive system and visual organs, whatever tissue organ, target tissue, target organ to be developed. Okay, so this is a mechanism of what happened? Hormone action, mechanism of steroid hormone action mechanism. For example, this is a model Model mechanism. For example, you would like to take here what happened yesterday. Buster asked a question, so I will like to reveal here, right? What happened? For example, here yeast Trojan you should take. What happened? Yeast Trojan you should take here. Yeast Trojan you should take here. This yeast Trojan which is diffused into the cell. What happened? Directly diffused into the cell. Which cell? Which cell? That means that you know very well the estrogen which is secreted by the estrogen secreted by the what ma, so like ovaries, right, by the influence of FSH, by the influence of FSH. These estrogen what happened directly released from the ovaries and diffused into the ovary cells, not other cells, right? Very important, remembering one ovary cells. Or if it is in this hormone released into the whatever enters into the cytoplasm, estrogen receptor. Estrogen receptor complex should be formed. Here hormone receptor complex is not there. Here hormone should be initiated. That what hormone here? The estrogen. Estrogen receptor complex. The estrogen receptor complex are directly diffused into the nucleus to be form of small protein. Small protein. The small protein like enzyme. These receptor complex to be activated to be stimulate the gene and the gene of DNA and the DNA to be prepared of some messages and to be formed mRNA to convert as mRNA from the DNA. To formation of mRNA from the DNA is called transcription, right? So here the message already coded whatever the messages is there. For what messages? For example, female reproductive system developed messages, growth and development messages, right? That condition the mRNA to coding. Then these mRNA what happened by using of ribosomes like small subunit and big subunit by coding and decoding process, and this mRNA to be mRNA by tRNA. So by using of mRNA and tRNA with help of ribosomes and in form of polypeptide chains, like polypeptide chains are formed. These polypeptide chains are to be combined to be form of proteins. These proteins which are diffused in the blood. What proteins here? These proteins, what proteins? Okay, so here which proteins are responsible for the growth and development of reproductive system of the female? Which proteins are which are responsible for the development, growth and development of secondary sexual characters of in female? These proteins are which are responsible for the to be maintain the menstrual cycle, right? These proteins are formed. These proteins are enters into the blood. These proteins are these blood to reach to what happened reproductive system of female, like for example uterus, ovaries, okay, and total skin of the body and the air, okay. So everything should be these proteins are responsible for the development of uterus, growth and development of uterus, growth and development of primary follicles, and for the these proteins are responsible for the oogenesis, menstrual cycle maintenance, right? Secondary sexual characters formation. Everything should be done by these proteins. Why? Because we are using here as a model mechanism. Estrogen should be taken, whereas you should take what happened testosterone. For example, testosterone enters directly and diffused directly. Testosterone receptor complex enters into the nucleus, and in the nucleus, very important thing, in the nucleus, what happened the testosterone receptor complex directly diffused into form of small protein and to be activate the gene of DNA, the DNA to be giving the messages to what messages? What message? Testosterone here development of growth and development of male reproductive system, right? So reproductive system parts, that messages take receive the mRNA, formation of mRNA by the DNA transcription. mRNA diffused in the cytoplasm by using of ribosomes, tRNA, mRNA to form polypeptide chains. Through the polypeptide chains, proteins are formed. These proteins are developed, diffused into blood. These proteins are reached to. These proteins are what happened, these proteins are reached to what happened? So male reproductive system part, like that means testes. Remembering one thing. So this mechanism takes place in where? This mechanism takes place in near of the tissue of the reproductive system, like testes and vasa differentia, epididymis, accessory glands, right, and everything should be these proteins which are responsible for production of that is sperm, that is spermatogenesis, right? So this is the steroid hormone action, and I think may hope understood all of you. I think, Mrna, are you understand?
Sir, sir, this testosterone, estrogen, whatever, two hormones, whatever it may be, it is secreted from the adrenal gland, sex-corticoid hormone, na sir.
No, 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 no. Okay, of course, of course, right.
Mm.
Actually, right. Your doubt is absolutely right. Okay. Remembering one thing, in male, in male and female, adrenal gland is present. Clear? That is kept at a side. And remembering one thing, in male, Padma, in male testis is present, in female ovaries are present. The testis also to secrete the testis also more amount of the testosterone secreted from the testis by the influence of pituitary that means anterior lobe hormones. That is FSH, right? That is a modification ICSH. So more amount of the testosterone secreted from the testes as well as adrenal gland also, right? Clear? That is a men and women. Okay, women in the more amount of the estrogen secreted from ovaries, okay, as well as adrenal gland also, right? Got my concept? Okay, in adrenal gland present in the both male and female. So for example, adrenal gland present in, that's why, okay, in male also adrenal gland is present. From the adrenal gland testosterone secreted and estrogen secreted, of course. But in that men having test one more main reproductive system organ is there, that is called testis. From the testis, more amount of the testosterone secreted than compared to adrenaline testosterone. For example, sometimes, some case, if it is case from the adrenaline estrogen to be more secretion than the testosterone as well as testis and adrenal gland testosterone, more secretion of the estrogen is there in that person, that man which is having what happened, feminism character. Be understood? Okay, Mrna. Clear?
Sir, yes, sir, now understood. It is the hormones are secreted from both the adrenal glands and or testis or ovaries, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
After secreted from that places, these hormones is functioning on cells.
Only whatever it may be, remembering one thing, from the adrenal gland testosterone or testis testosterone also, whatever it may be, it is functioning on reproductive system. Whatever it is clear. But so your doubt is excellent doubt, ma. I think I understand your doubt. Okay. So that's why I'm saying that. Some people are going to say, actually, estrogen which is secreted from the ovaries, na sir. Ovaries is not there in men, na sir. Why the men having female characters? Nothing. But some people are giving, some people are asking the question. Some people are having may raise the question. So you must be give the answer. It is a dynamic answer. Sir, yes, in the men also estrogen secreted. Few amount of the estrogen should be secreted from the adrenal glands, sir. So that's why if that secretion is hyper than the testis testosterone, adrenal gland testosterone, that secretion of estrogen is there more. In that men, female characters are developed. Okay, na? Clear? So whereas in female also, actually in female, estrogen secreted from more of, for example, 90% of the estrogen, 90% of the estrogen secreted from the female from ovaries only. Okay, so and 10% of the, remember, I would like to understand the understanding process. I would like to say this answer. From the adrenal gland, 10% of the estrogen should be secreted. Okay, total 100% estrogen secreted from the female. But in female, so testosterone also secreted from the adrenal gland. Remembering one thing. Here testosterone is 10% is there. 100% estrogen is there. That's why in estrogen, remembering one thing, what happened? In female, estrogen is more dominant than the testosterone. That's why in female characters are well developed, right? That my concept. In case, some cases, from the adrenal gland, testosterone actually 90% of the testosterone secreted in the male from testis, but in female, what happened? Testis is not there. Clear. So, but some cases from the adrenal gland, testosterone secreted 100%. Okay. So then the ovaries and adrenal gland estrogen. Okay, that's why the testosterone is dominant. Testosterone is down. For example, testosterone is 70% is there. Testosterone level 70% is there. 50% estrogen level is there. Here also the male characters dominate over the female characters, right? That's why in the female, like mustache are formed, beards are formed. Okay, the body look like actually testosterone function is to be which is developed by the strengthen of the bone and muscles and body buildings. Body building proteins are formed by the influence of testosterone in male then compared to female. That's why the males are very stronger than female. Clear? So, for example, in male, remembering one thing, in male they are carrying, for example, 50 kgs of rice bag from one place to other place easily. But whereas female unable to carry. Why? Because female don't have muscle power. The muscle power is more strength and power in the female than compared to male compared to female, because of in male testosterone is there, in female estrogen is there. Some cases in female the testosterone is more. For example, if it is a okay, at least 60% of the testosterone, then 50% of estrogen is there. Of course, estrogen female characters are developed in the female, but here 60% testosterone is there. That's why the female giving voice also looking like male. Okay, and what happened? The body looking like male like structure like body, female body also like muscle power. Okay, like fighting power. Okay, like what happened? Voice also change, right? Clear? The muscles are very change. Okay, the eggs are not formed. That the female person. So this is the case that is called virilism, and whatever mustache and beard should be formed. That is a case. So I think may you understood, Mrna? Here?
Yes, sir. Understood.
Okay, done. Now I would like to go next non-steroid hormone action. Okay, so I would like to draw here, remembering one thing. What happened now? Non-steroid hormone action. Shall I write this one? Okay. Okay. Next one. What happened? For example, say this is the called cell. Okay, this is called cell. Okay, this is cell membrane, and this is called a nucleus. This is called a nucleus. Okay, this is the cell, and this is called cell membrane or plasma membrane. Okay, this is called a nucleus. This is called what? Cytoplasm. This is also cytoplasm. Right? Okay. But so in non-steroid hormone action means non-steroid hormone except reproductive system remaining all tissues and organs which are having mainly non-steroid hormone action cells. For example, in that cell which is having what happened membrane bond receptors are there. Which receptors very important thing. Okay, right? Receptors are there. For example, this is a what happened? Receptors are there. This is a membrane bond receptors are there. For example, here you should take one hormone. So I would like to take here this hormone. Okay. So these which are non-steroid hormone. What ma? Non-steroid hormone. This is called a membrane bond receptor. What ma? Membrane bond receptors. Remembering one. Membrane bond receptors. These hormone bind with the membrane bond receptors to be formed what ma? Hormone receptor complex. What would a hormone receptor complex should be formed? This hormone receptor complex should be formed. So here, whereas a non-steroid hormone, directly hormone diffused into the cell. But whereas here, hormone receptor complex should be formed on surface of the membrane, where non-steroid hormone mechanism or non-steroid hormone action mechanism. So the hormone receptor complex should be formed on outside of the membrane, right? So that means the surface of the cell membrane, right? In where the HRC should be formed. For example, this is called hormone. This is called receptor. Hormone receptor complex should be formed on the membrane. Okay. So what happened? The membrane should be activated. What happened? Membrane, the plasma activated. These plasma membrane should be activated in that condition. In that condition, what happened? So in this from the membrane, okay, this hormone receptor complex which is enters into what happened? These hormone receptor hormone. This hormone receptor complex which is enters into what happened? Which is enters into cytoplasm. Here required what happened? For example, here required ATP energy should be required. ATP converted into ADP plus inorganic phosphate should be formed. Inorganic, that means here the hormone receptor complex should be formed on the membrane of the surface of the membrane. In that condition, membrane should be activated. In this receptor complex diffused into the cytoplasm in the presence of ATP energy. Required ATP energy, right? ATP converted into ADP, inorganic phosphate. Here what happened? Cyclic AMP should be formed. CAMP should be formed. What happened? CAMP should be formed. So what happened? Cyclic AMP should be formed, right? Cyclic AMP. Cyclic AMP nothing but C nothing but cyclic. A nothing but adenosine monophosphate. Adenosine monophosphate should be formed. Okay. So what happened here? Cyclic AMP. Which complex should be formed here? What happened? Okay. Once I repeat. Cyclic AMP HRC. Okay. HRC should be formed. Once I repeat. Whether this is a hormone, non-steroid hormone bind with the membrane receptor to be form of that means hormone receptor complex. Okay, hormone receptor membrane bond hormone receptor complex to be formed. These hormone receptor complex to activate the plasma membrane and diffuse it into the cytoplasm in the influence of ATP. Here ATP energy is required. So in that condition, hormone receptor complex to be activated by the formation of CAP. When the conversion of ATP to ADP, in that condition, what happens? CAMP should be formed. Cyclic AMP should be formed. This cyclic AMP should bind with hormone receptor complex. When the cyclic AMP, in which condition should be formed? Where the, remembering one thing. So I would like to hear how here I would like to give reaction. This hormone receptor complex, what happened? To be formed in surface of the membrane. In that condition, what happened? ADP energy should be required. This ADP energy, ADP plus inorganic phosphate and cyclic AMP should be formed. Cyclic AMP should be formed. That means CAMP should be formed. CAMP nothing but cyclic adenosine monophosphate should be formed. Cyclic AMP is a secondary. What happened? Secondary messengers. By the secondary cyclic AMP is formed by using of consumption by using of ATP. So here whether cyclic AMP should be formed in the presence of here which is adenyl cyclase. What ma? Adenyl cyclase enzyme should be formed. should be utilized. Once and I repeat, just don't confuse whether non-steroid hormone bind with membrane bound receptor to the form of hormone receptor complex. In that condition, plasma membrane should be activated. This plasma membrane should be activated, and by in this reaction, by the activation, the required ATP energy. This ATP converted into ADP plus inorganic phosphate to the form of cyclic AMP in the presence of adenyl cyclase and enzyme. Adenyl cyclase and enzyme. So whether cyclic AMP should be formed, right? So remembering one thing, whether cyclic AMP is a secondary messengers, whether cyclic AMP should be formed is a secondary messenger. In that condition, they allows what happened? They allows the what happened? HRC, hormone receptor complex, whether cyclic AMP should be formed. In that condition, HRC should be invited. Cheddar should be diffused into the blood from through the plasma membrane. In that condition, cyclic AMP bind with the hormone receptor complex. So in this complex, hormone receptor complex, whatever cyclic AMP, HRC should be formed. Cyclic AMP hormone receptor complex should be formed. This complex easily diffused into the nucleus. So whether cyclic AMP HRC should be formed and easily diffused into the side of nucleus of the nucleus, okay, nucleoplasm through the nuclear membrane, and to be formed whatever to be formed small protein. What ma? Small protein. Okay. Cyclic AMP HRC complex diffused into the through the nuclear membrane into nucleoplasm, and to be formed converted into small protein. What a small protein, right? So which protein action is there on the target tissue, that protein should be formed. These proteins should be activate the gene. These proteins should be activate the whatever to activate the gene. In that condition, whatever DNA message to be formed. This DNA to converts to be form of mRNA. So formation of mRNA from the DNA is called what beta? Is called what? Here it's called what beta? Transcription. What ma? Transcription. Okay. Transcription. When the mRNA should be formed, already told you. mRNA should be formed. These mRNA should be enters into cytoplasm. Diffused into cytoplasm. So these mRNA. So by using of what are the ribosomes, mRNA, tRNA, mRNA to be formed to prepare coding, and tRNA to be prepare decoding. By using of mRNA, ribosomes, and to be formed whatever to be formed polypeptide chain. So these group of polypeptide chains to be form of what ma? Protein. To be form of protein. Group of polypeptide to be form of protein. These protein which is diffused into. These protein whatever ma? Diffused into blood. To reach to target tissue and target organ. So whatever ma? In that condition, the target tissue and target organ to be growing. Growth and development takes place. Okay, so this is a mechanism of non-steroid hormone action. May understood all of you, I think. Okay, once I repeat quickly, whether non-steroid hormone bind with membrane bound receptor to be form of hormone receptor complex. So what happened in this receptor complex, in the condition plasma membrane activated, and to be prepared to be form of cyclic AMP by using of ATP energy. So this ATP energy converted to ADP plus inorganic phosphates. This ADP to be formed with cyclic AMP. Cyclic AMP is a secondary messenger. So that is in the presence of adenyl cyclase, these secondary messages are formed in the condition cyclic AMP to invite, to be allows the HRC into the cytoplasm. And whatever cyclic AMP bind with HRC to the form of cyclic AMP HRC complex. This HRC is easily diffused into the through the nuclear membrane into nucleoplasm, and to be converted, whether it enters into nucleoplasm, converted into what happens, a small protein. If the small protein is formed, whatever the message is there, so protein is formed, what happens, the gene should be activated of the gene of the DNA should be activated. The DNA too converts mRNA at that base, whatever the message to receive, right? So the DNA converted into mRNA, so by the process of transcription. These mRNA diffused into the cytoplasm by using of ribosomes, mRNA to prepare the coding process, tRNA to prepare the decoding process, and to prepare the polypeptide chain. Whatever polypeptide chain. The polypeptide chain in the protein synthesis process. So from the mRNA to PC, that is from mRNA to polypeptide chains are formed by the process translation. Translation. Okay, the group of polypeptide chains to bind or to be form of proteins, big proteins. These proteins which are diffused into the blood, and in the blood is a vehicle to carry these proteins to be reached to send to the whatever the target are there, whatever the target tissue are there for the requirement for the growth and development. So finally, these proteins to reach blood area, the tissue and target organ, the target and tissue to be developed. Okay, for example, you must take what hormone you must take. For example, thyroxine. Thyroxine enters, thyroxine receptor complex are formed. Here cyclic AMP should be formed. Cyclic AMP should be allows the complex, and this complex and bind with cyclic AMP. It is easily diffused to the nuclear membrane, and the DNA should be activated. From the DNA to mRNA should be formed by the process of transcription. From the mRNA to PC, polypeptide chains are formed. PC to proteins are formed by the protein process, by the translation. Transcription and translation process is called protein synthesis. Protein synthesis. These proteins are reached, diffused into the blood which is carries to reach and to send the whatever the target organ, whatever the target tissues there. Target organ, target tissues are growth and development takes place. Okay, any doubt here in this mechanism? Ma, no doubt? Okay.
Sir,
Tell me.
when the ATP is converted into ADP, ATP converted into ADP, then CAMP cyclic will be formed.
Okay. Yes. Whether ATP, simple whether the HRC is formed surface of the membrane, in that condition plasma membrane activated. In this reaction, ATP is required. This ATP converted into ADP, inorganic phosphate. This ADP converted as a what happened? Cyclic AMP. Cyclic AMP. Cyclic AMP, when the cyclic AMP should be formed in the presence of enzyme. In the presence of enzyme. Which enzyme is there here? Which enzyme? Adenyl cyclase enzyme. What happened? Adenyl cyclase enzyme to help for the formation of secondary messengers of cyclic AMP. Okay. Clear?
Sir, clear.
Okay, na? So this is very easy topic, ma. Just you must be but in I would like to. So this is a 1 minute. Tomorrow we'll be discussing about this is a mechanism of hormone action, which is very important for the long question, for the entrance level, for the adenyl cycle is very important. Transcription, translation, formation of proteins. What is the steroid hormone action? What is the non-steroid action? We'll be asking very important thing. So tomorrow we'll be discussing about the male and female hormone. What are the hormones are there? What is the function of hormones? What are the female hormones are responsible for the menstrual cycle? Tomorrow we'll discussing about. Today the session is completed. Thank you very much. This is Krishna, HOD of Zoology, signing out.